Hello, Raylene. How are you?
Good morning, Elisa. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm fine. So I miss you. I've been on a kind of a staycay, but a vacation of sorts. So I haven't had any sessions with nobody.
Well,
So,
you deserve that time. You really needed it to go out and spend time with your family and be
yeah,
in nature. So I'm glad you took it.
yeah, me too. Anywho, we are going to follow your suggestion and talk about Mercury being in retrograde because it starts today, which is March 5th. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this in line and post it tomorrow so that you guys will get the most out of it since it'll be the second day of
Absolutely.
Mercury. Hate Mercury in retrograde. That's when all my appliances get broke. And
They do. Not only do your appliances go haywire, but electronics go haywire, such as cell phones. Eric says hello, everybody, and he says, "Hi, Mama,"
I love
and he loves
you.
you very much. He says, a lot of people tend to overlook at Mercury retrograde and they assume that negative things or bad things will happen.
Wait,
He
wait, wait,
says,
wait. Let's back up. And what is Mercury in retrograde? Because or Mercury retrograde because I don't
okay,
know if everybody they
so
probably do, but just in
yeah,
case.
Mercury retrograde is where Mercury seems like the planet is moving backwards, but it's really not. So, for instance, do you know when you're in a train and you go forward and people are outside of the train, but they look like they're going backwards?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Mercury retrograde does. It's going forward. However, it's got like a backwards motion where it makes you feel like things are going backwards. So you can feel like you're not making any progress with relationships or with work. You've been trying to do a whole lot of things, but you're not seeing, the progress for the effort that you have put in. So really you're moving forward, but it feels like things are going backwards. And that's what Mercury retrograde does. Mercury is all about communication. And so, being that it's going backwards, communication can get mixed up. You can try, speaking about something that you've been wanting to talk about for a while, but when you communicate it, it comes off completely the opposite way you intended it to. You can come off as, an asshole or end up hurting somebody.
So
And
maybe
so,
maybe you shouldn't text. Maybe if there's important communication, you should do it in person so that people understand the tone, the intent, the emotion behind it, and things like that. And so they can, hey, what are you talking about? Clarify.
absolutely. And not only that, he says, Mom, since people are aware that communication can be a mishap, you can write down what you want to talk about and figure out how you're going to express these things prior to going into it without any preparation. And he says, so Mercury retrograde, you can be aware of it and you can prepare yourself for this communication. It does not mean avoid communicating because retrograde and Mercury is a time of healing. So things will come up from the past that you've either put on the back burner or have not worked through. And that's what it is. Have you heard a blast from the past?
Yeah.
During Mercury retrograde, a blast from the past comes back. So it happens today, March 5th, and it's going to end on the 28th. And it's not going to actually completely end on the 28th because we're going to have the back shadow of it, and the back shadow lasts for 2 weeks. So it's going to be the second week into April that, Mercury retrograde will go direct. And so you won't have the effects of it after that. But it's really a time of healing, a time of creativity. People will get creative. They're going to start to clean out their closets, start to organize,
Oh, that sounds
start getting,
horrible. Oh,
start getting things situated that you really haven't had the time to do. Mercury will allow that to happen. Painting, you're going to start painting, maybe crocheting, taking up a new hobby that's got creativity associated with it.
okay. Can you
Moving
give
your
me?
furniture.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give me an example of first of the healing,
Okay,
blast from the past, like a specific example.
you and your husband have gone through a lot of trouble throughout your past.
Are you
And
talking
so
about
through
me?
that, no, 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 not you directly. God, no, you and your husband are awesome. I love you guys.
Oh, we've been through some
See,
shit. All
that's
right.
that's Mercury retrograde, the miscommunication shit that happens.
There we
But
go.
no, say you're in a relationship and you and your partner have had issues. And so now is the time that you are addressing those issues. You may see a therapist, you may see a doctor. That type of healing comes. In fact, during Mercury retrograde, a lot of people will make doctor appointments, will make therapist appointments, will start like a whole experience of healing, bringing them to a path spiritual healing. A lot of people tend to go through spiritual awakenings during retrograde. And when I mean awakenings, the Channeling Erik book can be given to somebody, and that can open up your spiritual journey. And so something will happen about spirituality. This specific,
I think it's really cool that sometimes Erik, you're so naughty. He will, a person will be at the bookstore and he'll make his book, especially his book, not mine, fly off the shelf and land right in front of their feet. It's
Erik, you're gonna scare people. He is pushy. He says, that is persistent. He said, I've always been persistent, Mom, and I will still continue to be. Excuse me. And so this specific retrograde is happening in Pisces. Pisces is very emotional, and it's a water sign. And so emotions. And so if you have been holding on to an emotion from childhood, say abuse from childhood or sexual abuse, physical or sexual, right now you're going to find that that memory is coming back, a blast from the past. You're going to be irritated about it. You're going to be emotional. You're going to be like, why the hell am I thinking about this? I thought I was over it. You haven't gone over it. If it's coming back, it's being resurfaced. So a blast from the past will come. Maybe it's time to get into some type of therapy about that situation that you experienced as a child or as a young adult or even adult. Time to heal that emotion.
Or you know what also you can do, and I think it's really an amazing program. Go to soulhappy.com, SOUL happy.com, and it's this cool online program. And there's some hypnosis going on. It's so cool, but you can sort of totally get rid of these negative clusters of emotions that happen because of traumatic events, etc., and then reprogram. I probably am freezing. Reprogram them with positive.
You are, but I can hear you.
So, yeah, check that out, guys.
Erik says, yes, Mom, that is incredible. And that's a great healing technique that somebody can open up and open the door to. The other thing is, because not everybody has access to health insurance or a therapist, is you can read books. I've got a book I'm going to show you guys. Hold on really quick. I got to get it out of my bag. I brought it. It's over here. Okay. It's this one. This is directed at children specifically, but they have the adult version of it too. It's What to Do When You Worry Too Much, a kid's guide to overcoming anxiety. And I'm doing this with my son right now, but you can do it any age. You can be an adult. They have the adult version, but there's little activity pages that you will actually fill out with your child or with your spouse. A lot of times there's anxiety in the relationship and the partners are not aware why they're anxious with each other. This book will help you to break down where the anxiety is coming from. And so I got this on Amazon. Anybody can access it. It was under $20. So if you can't access that health insurance, go doing self-education and self-healing yourself.
I'm going to put that down. But the soul happy thing is, therapy, of course, is so expensive. I think the soul happy thing, you get it forever and ever and ever for like $160 or something. Or maybe you have to say with Channeling Erik to get it that cheap, but that's
really good.
You worry too much.
That is incredible. Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that they're worrying about a certain thing or can't even pinpoint what it is that they're worrying about. It's like a hamster wheel. During retrograde, these things tend to happen more often, which is why I wanted to bring that and show it to people, because health does come up, such as anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. And it's just because of the motion of the planet. Like you feel like you're going backwards, but really you're going forward. You're not making progress. And because things come back from the past, so anxiety can come up. And so learn to deal with that anxiety. Now, I'm going to go back to talking about this retrograde specifically. It's happening in Pisces. And like I said, Pisces is very emotional. And so you may find that you're being very emotional with other people and you're not sure why. The mission is try not to take out your emotions on other people that, it's not supposed to be their problem. They didn't cause your pain. So try not to be mean to others that haven't influenced that pain on you. And so this happens a lot. People will take emotion out on people not intending to. So really be aware of that. Other things that will come about with this retrograde, it is also happening around the 11th house because it's also connected to Neptune. Neptune is home in the 11th house, which is kind of like your spirituality, things that are not easily explained, the unconscious. And so things that may be hidden will start to come out. This can be about the earth, extraterrestrials, spirituality within yourself. People may find out things that have been hidden, like family secrets that are going to start to surface. It can be happening from somebody going and learning about their family history, like ancestors, and the family secret coming out. That's what to be expected.
All the skeletons are going to come out of the closet.
It is, because it's stuff that's hidden and unknown, and it's really going to be surfaced to people. And so expect the unexpected during this time. Finances tend to be a problem, so be smart with your guys' finances. Don't go out and splurge on things that are just unnecessary, and really learn to balance financial things right now.
Why are finances a problem in Mercury retrograde?
In Mercury retrograde, because people tend to just kind of go crazy, and you're splurging, you're doing whatever it is that you want, and you're not being responsible. And so it's just something that retrograde causes. It's like you feel like you're moving forward.
Is that because
what was that?
Is that because of the emotions coming up, and you have to self-medicate by basically splurging on yourself?
He says, yes, Mom, that's part of it for some of the people, is they're trying to fill the void that they're looking for. A lot of times people don't know the emotional void that's missing, and so they're looking to bring happiness, whether it's spending money or eating. Junk food comes up, processed food comes up during retrograde, fast food. And so people start to feel like really fatigued, just no motivation. And it's because of what retrograde does. It kind of makes you stop and really pay attention to, where am I at? What do I like? What don't I like? This retrograde is going to bring things, it's going to make things clear for people. And so say you have been in a workplace that you haven't been happy with for a while. You've been thinking, I really want to move, but I like this income, and I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. And so what this retrograde does is it helps you to weigh out the pros and the cons of the work. And if you've got more of unhappiness, what retrograde does is it brings forward motion and helps you to get out of that work environment that you're not wanting. And so you may feel really depressed with going to work or with doing things that you're just unhappy with. And retrograde is bringing that to your attention, so that way you can change it.
Mercury retrograde is kicking you in the ass.
It does. It does. It really does. And it really makes you do things that you've been wanting to do, but you haven't. Now, I took a look at your natal chart and seeing what changes you were going to be experiencing.
Okay.
This is happening. No, it's really good. This is happening in your 9th house and in your 2nd house. So the 9th house is all about like higher education, and it's also about travel, spirituality, and philosophy. So you're going to be experiencing changes in that area. Your 2nd house is all about you experiencing like your finances, your possessions, your value, what you own, ownership. And so there's going to be changes. Your home, you can be having like a remodeling going on in the home.
Well, that sounds awful.
Like people will start to like clean out garages. This is happening in your 2nd house. So over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to watch your post. And if I see you getting rid of stuff, I'm going to be like, oh, it's your retrograde. It's what it's kicking you in the ass for.
There we go.
You're likely going to be learning something that is higher education. And so this can be learning about astrology or learning about extraterrestrials, something that's unknown, which you do on a regular basis, because look at what you're doing with CE, but you're going to be stepping it up a notch is what's going to happen.
Okay.
Do you have any trips that you have planned? Because this is also around travel. So United to the 2nd and your 9th house.
June the 8th, we're going to try to go back to Norway again, visit my father-in-law. He's getting so old. Yeah.
So no, it would be like right now. So you may have like a sudden unexpected trip that might happen, such as like taking an hour drive to somewhere.
Well,
going to a beach,
we'll probably go
unexpected
camping.
travel.
Yeah, we'll probably go camping in Galveston, not this weekend, but next weekend. Why
There
should I
you
not?
go. No, go, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go and do these travels. When you do travel, delays can happen. So
Okay.
plan ahead. Maybe bring extra gas along with you, extra tires. Retrograde will bring delays for you. And so if you're planning on taking an airplane, get to the airport a little bit earlier than what you would, because there are delays in retro storm, something bizarre that will just delay you.
Okay.
And so plan ahead. So that's what you are experiencing, and the changes that you will be experiencing are surrounding your second house and your ninth house. Nothing negative, just all about, seems like your home, what, finances, your belongings, travel, higher education, learning, those types of things you're going to start to experience more often.
That's cool. So what
And
about
so,
the whole thing? Never sign a contract during when Mercury is retrograde.
okay, so say you guys were looking at purchasing a home. If you were looking at the contract prior to Mercury retrograde hitting, you can sign that contract because it was pre-planned prior to retrograde. So it wasn't something that you just spontaneously did during a retrograde. Now, if you just spontaneously decide to go and buy a car during retrograde, you want to make sure that you're looking over the contract. The loan says the amount that you're signing up for, and they're not putting a bunch of extra shit in there. Make sure that it is what they say, because hidden things can come in contract. And so always go over your contract. And if you do sign it during retrograde and it was something that you planned prior to retrograde, it's fine. Just make sure that you're thoroughly going through what you're signing and making sure that it's what you want.
I
And
think
so, and going through it. You're
Michelle.
frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
don't know what's going on? Maybe I should
Okay.
have be on the wrong one. No, I'm good. Michelle, my second eldest
Maybe
daughter.
Erik should stop fucking with the connection.
Just stop it. But
Right?
my second eldest daughter and her husband are going to be closing on their very first home really soon in the next week or two. Is that going to be a problem?
No, he said because they had planned it. He says, but what they will experience is tension with the moving and with delays in U-Haul trucks and things like that. But in terms of them getting the home and signing, it's all going to happen for them, smooth sailing. He says, just be
Oh,
aware of the after move-in.
oh, moving is horrible.
Um,
But that's the only way I
check
can
your
get all the crap we collect over time. It's like Got Junk loves me. I just love crap. Oh, if I have not even hit my eyes on something for 15 years, I don't need it unless it's a fond memory, a picture, or something like that.
unless it's my beautiful face, Erik says.
Oh, of course, I would never get rid of that.
Never. Yeah, and that's exactly what this Mercury retrograde is going to do. Is it's going to make you get rid of things that you're just not using or not utilizing. The other thing is how I mentioned emotions. And so if you've got like an emotion, and say the emotion is directed towards, like, you're angry or you're sad, but you don't know why you feel this way, what this retrograde is going to do is it's going to make you realize why you're sad. So it brings like knowledge of feelings. It lets you know where it's coming from.
Oh,
And
so
so
it's
that's
opposite
also the Pisces.
left from the subconscious to the conscious level.
It does. It really does. And so I really encourage people to sit down and start writing to their either inner child or their higher self, and ask them to bring forth things that need to be healed, because right now is a really good time for healing with your emotional state. Um,
I think
the other thing with this retrograde is if you've had like an idea,
right? There's a lot of good stuff about Mercury retrograde.
there's a lot of good stuff about it, and that's what I try and teach a lot of people. It might shake things up, but it's bringing change that you would have never brought on by yourself, and
Right.
it's good change eventually. So that's why we have retrograde. It's really to shake you up and bring that change. This retrograde is going to bring, so say that you have been thinking about doing something, but you're changing your mind often about it. And then now that you're in Mercury retrograde, you decided, okay, that's what I want to do. Go with that decision because you were thinking about it prior to retrograde, you just weren't sure of what to do. So what retrograde is doing is it's kicking you in the butt and it's going to make you do that. So that's an example. If you've been struggling with something and been going back and forth with, and then now you got this idea of, okay, that's the one I'm going to go with that moment and don't keep allowing your mind to change. You're going to go with that first initial thought that's coming to you.
Okay.
And it's going to be what you're guided to doing.
And you should buy stock in Got Junk right now and then sell it in a couple of weeks. No, I'm not giving y'all fun.
He said, let the shit go. Let the shit go.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. So that's what you experience with this retrograde. It's not bad. Think about the positive things that are happening. And if you're already in a really shitty situation and you just don't know how to get out of it, this retrograde is going to push you out of it. So you could say thank you later.
Oh, yeah.
And
So, yeah, you can buy apps at the app, or free pretty much, on the App Store, Mercury Retrograde. I had one and I was looking for it, but that one apparently was deleted from the App Store, so I couldn't get it again. But yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of apps out there. I use Astro Gold. It's an astrology app. It's really, really good. Astro Gold. And you can look up current Astro Gold. It's ASTRO and then gold, GOLD.
All one word?
No, 2 words.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, 2 words. Oh, God dang, $39.99. Girl, that was a lot. Wow.
It is, but it's really good.
Oh,
you could look up your transits that you're going through, and this is the app that I pull all of my reports from.
That is pretty cool.
That's it. Yeah, you can pull all of your current transits that you're going through. For every single day, there's transits that every person has just about every day. You'll be going through something. So that can help you with like days to make financial decisions, days to make moving decisions. That app has so much good information for you.
Can you use it for more than one person? Get more bang for
your buck? I run all of my reports on there.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I've got probably over 500 reports in there, and it holds a lot more. So wow. It's great. It's great.
So anything else about Mercury retrograde? And Erik, if you want to say something too, that's fine. It will be allowed.
Erik says to enjoy this retrograde and to enjoy your family. He says family tends to come up during retrogrades, so start to plan your gatherings. If you're thinking of that certain person, reach out to them because that thought is in your head for a reason. Erik says that he's been pranking a lot of people lately and that he wants to make his presence really known. He says he appreciates all of our followers and all of the people that he's helping. He says, thank you, everybody, for allowing him to come in and invade your space.
That's funny. One guy was on a trip to South Korea, I think, or Korean Airlines, and he asked Erik for a prank, and all of a sudden, you know, the sidewall next to the little oval windows started to glow this bright red light from behind it. And the stewardess or flight attendant freaked out. She did not know what that was.
So, Erik, what were you doing? He says that I was giving a prank.
Yes, of course. So, what about health?
You ask and you get.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
What about health issues in Mercury retrograde? Mercury. Can you say about that?
Your health?
Yes.
Yeah, your health does tend to come up. And so, for example, say you've had a bad leg and you've been needing to have surgery, but you've been putting off that surgery for whatever reason. Mercury retrograde will bring upon more pain in that leg and force you to fix what the problem was. Oh. And so that's why health comes up. And the leg was just an example. Say like you've had, you know, health issues with your heart or with your lungs or with eating habits. It's really going to prompt a change to happen in your healthcare. And that's why you'll make an appointment with your doctor or with the therapist or with your spiritual advisor. because you're needing that help from somebody. So your health does come up. Everybody's health will come up in one way or another. It's what retrograde brings out. And so,
Well, I have problems with my thumb, and I've taken MSM and stuff that worked for a long time. And then the doctor injected cortisone in it, and it helped for a while. But she says that
it's only
I
so
should
much that it does.
should I get surgery on that now that I mean
Yes.
it's not worse.
Yes. No, Eric says that you are going to need it, Mom. And now that you're younger, it's better to do it before you get older, because the problem only is going to get worse. Eric, he says,
Oh,
and I'm not calling you old, Mom. I'm saying you gotta do it now.
okay. Well, you just said, well, I'm
But
young. I thought, what?
no,
Are you kidding me? Look at these wrinkles.
you are before you get older.
Look at these wrinkles, people. I need to airbrush
Eric,
of
he's
this.
pulling his skin with you, and he says, Mom, look at this.
I know.
Only if you can see the image in my head. He's making his skin go really, really far out. It's pretty gross.
Oh, I look best when I have after I shower and I wrap my head in a towel, because then it brings my eyelids up a little bit.
It does. It takes the wrinkles out. It pulls it up.
He's taking its toll.
He says it does help, Mom. It's true. He says stem cell therapy will also help joint pain.
What will?
Stem cell.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I just read something interesting that somebody was cured of HIV because he was given a stem cell transplant from a guy who, for some reason, is resistant to HIV. This is the second person who has been cured completely, zero viral count. So if we could find a bunch of people who are HIV resistant and get their stem cells, they could help people.
He says, and now that we're putting this awareness out there, Mom, he says, people, go out and see if your stem cell is resistant and start donating.
Yeah.
He says you can save a life. He says being a donor doesn't mean you die. He says you can still do it while you're alive. Yeah. Now he's going on about donating your plasma, your stem cells that comes from. There you go. Donating blood. He says people need it. We really need it. The O type is what's really needed a lot right now. He says, so if you have an O type, go and donate your blood.
They won't take mine. I was stabbed.
I love you, Eric. He's so earth friendly.
And I was putting in a central line in a comatose drug addict in the emergency room, and he woke up and I got stabbed with it, and so I got hepatitis C. But I went through the therapy.
Oh man!
And I'd have zero viral count, but they won't take my blood. I'm not good for them.
That's so mean. I'm so sorry. That's a shame that you had to experience that, the troubles of a doctor, right?
That's okay. I've been through worse.
I think it happens a lot. When I was in labor, when the doctor went to give me the epidural, he got poked. And I didn't move or anything, so I don't know how it happened, but it happens a lot with doctors, unfortunately.
So maybe that's your rabies?
He got tested, but I didn't have anything, so he was good. I had to sign off.
Anything close? Anything else on Mercury retrograde, peeps?
No, ma'am. We've got it covered.
That's great. And you guys can find Raylene and tell us everything that you have to offer. And, of course, your website, which is angelmedium7.com, the number 7.
Correct.
You got something right today?
You got it right. You did it awesome. Thank you. I am offering right now, I'm teaching people how to open up their abilities. And that's a majority of what I do. I'm only channeling about 4 hours a week. And so a lot of people have been emailing about appointments not being open. It's because I'm teaching. And so you might want to sign up for the student course pack, because channeling does come through with that. I teach you how to channel and get the information for yourself.
Yeah, so you can do it yourself. Yeah.
And so I just teach you how to open up your abilities and really learn how to communicate with spirits. I also offer astrology sessions, astrology reports without me interpreting it. It will come directly to your email. I offer video recordings of, it's called a jewelry reading, and I send out jewelry and I record a video, and I just do cards and I interpret the messages with the cards, and I also do intuitive interpreting along with sending them jewelry to help them.
Well, what is the jewelry thing? What does the jewelry have to do? Who do you send jewelry
It's a
to?
jewelry reading. So it's called a jewelry reading, and I combine oracle cards and I make crystals. I use crystals to help them with what the oracle cards is telling me they're
Oh,
needing assistance with. And so I send them the jewelry, and then I record an audio or video recording of me, and I send the video to their email address. And so if you're
that's
looking for
so
guidance,
cool.
that's an easy way to come to me, because you get it typically within the same week instead of having to wait a couple months for a session or a couple weeks for a session. So
That is
that's available.
awesome. Oh, also, guys, this is kind of interesting. I had this woman who's a filmmaker, director, producer, and I won't give her name or anything, but she's done some amazing work. And she's been a blog member, or she's been following CE for like 4 years. And she is going to start filming a documentary purely on CE. And she wants to basically go from the starting point of when she was a skeptic and hold hands with the audience who are skeptics and help them understand that there's no paranormal. It's all normal. There's no woo-woo. Everybody can channel. And she's going to, for example, show, talk to and film people like you, the mediums, and show that they have a regular life. They're regular people. They're not like gypsies with crystal balls or anything like that. And they're gonna
Yes, a lot of people
my family
think.
and show that it's normal. Such a joke. Okay.
I'm excited for this document because it's something that is needed. And you want to know something interesting? I was a skeptic myself before I was channeling. I had a friend that was going to see Jamie Butler, and I was like, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" And that was my opinion at that time. And I've shifted, and obviously now look at what I'm doing. So it just goes to show that the biggest skeptics can channel their self and open up. It's just all about experience and who you go to that helps you.
That's right. And it's all normal, people. All right. Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
I'll put angelmedium7.com here so you guys can check it out. And all right. I love you, Erik. I love you, Raleen.
Erik says, "I love you, Mama," and I love you too, Elisa. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this retrograde.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elisa.
Bye.
Bye.
You.